What's up, Liquid Culture fam? Thank you for being here with me again on Pinot Noir Wednesday, the last Pinot Noir Wednesday that we have for this little series that I've been doing consecutively for the last 8 weeks. It's falling on a day where if you watched my Wine Tasting 101 video yesterday, you'll know that we are 1 day removed from the 1 year anniversary of me launching this site and this Instagram. And it's very, very exciting for me. I think that the response has been everything that I hoped that it would be. For those of you who have been following along with me for a while, or even if you've just started following me, I can't tell you how much I appreciate y'all's interactions and hearing your stories of expanding your knowledge of wine and getting excited about various beers or cocktails or whatever the case, based off of following me on the Liquid Culture. So love hearing that stuff. I'm going to keep the kind of celebration going the rest of this week. We've got Pinot Noir Wednesday today. Probably going to have a fun beer video for you guys because, again, it's still Cali month, and I've got a really cool beer that I've brought back from a trip that I took to California recently that I'm excited to shoot. But today, I've got a Pinot Noir from another trip that I took, a separate trip that I had taken to California when I was in the Napa Valley. We visited Farniente, which this is a sister winery of theirs, EnRoute, however you want to say it. Pinot Noir from Russian River Valley, 2016 vintage, Les Pommiers. Pinot Noir, Les Pommiers, named after the apple orchards that used to call the vineyard site home, which have now been supplanted with grapevines. EnRoute, again, Pinot Noir and Chardonnay house that is associated and was founded by the same founders of Farniente and Nickel, both of which focus on the Bordeaux varietals. And I'm sure a lot of you out there probably would recognize either or both Farniente and Nickel labels. Some of you very well may have even had this Pinot Noir before. So I love Russian River Valley. Again, if you watched yesterday's video, you'll know that we're doing back-to-back Sonoma wines. Yesterday's Zinfandel was from Dry Creek, which is a sub-appellation of Sonoma. This one coming from Russian River Valley, which is also a sub-appellation of Sonoma. And to even kind of whittle down a little further, right, because this is Pinot Noir Wednesday and this is for the nerds, right? Most of the grapes for this, it is a blend. It's not a single vineyard Pinot Noir, which EnRoute does make single vineyard Pinot Noirs, but this is their blended Pinot Noir. But a good deal of it comes from vineyard sites in Chalk Hill, which is a sub-AVA of Russian River Valley, which is an AVA of Sonoma, and which is also an AVA of the north coast of California. So we're really digging down deep into very specific vineyard territory here. The only way we could get more specific with that is if this were a single vineyard Pinot Noir, but nonetheless, coming from great Pinot Noir terroir, big buzzword when it comes to Pinot Noir, terroir, soil, climate, all that kind of stuff, elevation, all of these things kind of go into figuring out where the best Pinot Noirs can grow and where you're getting the best examples of Pinot Noir, whether you're looking for Burgundy imitators, something purely Californian, something kind of somewhere in the middle. Terroir always plays a big role in that. This is a wine that I did taste when we were visiting Farniente, as I had mentioned before. So we were there on a little Napa Valley trip. And when you go to Farniente, you get to taste some of the wines from a few of the different kind of portfolios of the overall umbrella company there. And EnRoute Pinots were definitely part of that overall tasting. I, of course, was a big fan of all the Pinots that we tasted. My sister, of course, and my wife, big fans of all the cabs coming from the Farniente portfolio. But nonetheless, this is a really interesting Pinot Noir to me because I think that it finds itself somewhere in between Burgundy and California. Well, first let's look at the color. As we have really not really needed to do during Pinot Noir Wednesdays because they're all pretty much that kind of medium ruby color, as you come to expect with Pinot Noir. But on the nose is where this wine is really, really enticing to me. So you have this really nice combination of earth and fruit. What do I mean by that? So really, every time I go to stick my nose down into this glass, I get something different first every time. So sometimes it'll be like this forest floor, this kind of wet leaf, misty, kind of, if you're, let's say you're like out on a camping trip in the fall or early spring and it's just a little cold outside, a little mist, fogginess hanging in the air. There's lots of kind of vegetation, dead leaves, and old kind of fallen over trees that are just kind of starting to kind of rot out. It has that really nice forest floor, soily, kind of earthy component. But then you'll dive back in and you'll get this straight cherry, strawberry, cranberry, just kind of full spectrum red fruits. But rich red fruits, like almost to a point of, overripe red fruits. Macerated strawberries and almost like black cherry as opposed to the kind of tart red cherry. And then there's there's a couple of things in here that are just kind of sensory things for me, which you might smell differently. But to me, I get this kind of salty, sea breezy kind of minerality. And then I also get kind of almost this and not to be offensive, but this kind of nylon kind of artificial, almost, you know what, honestly, we go back to the camping kind of metaphor, almost like a tent. So let's say you're pitching a tent, nylon tent, in the middle of a forest, and you're going to camp out, and it's, early spring, nice and cool and crisp. And let's just say, maybe we're doing this camping in the Russian River area, or at least somewhere in Sonoma where we're close to the ocean, much like the vineyards that these grapes were grown in. Really bright acidity on the palate. Very rich, textural Pinot Noir, mouth-watering, long-lasting finish. Tannin is a little bit on the roof of the mouth. So this is why I say that this is a wine that kind of falls somewhere between Burgundy and California. This has very rich California-esque fruit character to it, while also having some of that, Burgundian floral. There's some like rose bush, not just the petal, but some of that kind of brambly, thorny part of the rose bush. Some slight kind of, green, brambly characteristics going on with it. So this has, it has acidity like you would find in Burgundy, but it has power and richness like you would find in California. I don't know what the 14.5 alcohol, so high compared to some, say, Burgundy, for instance, much higher alcohol content. So you have this rich, textural, powerful expression of a floral, earthy, fruity Pinot Noir. I don't know how I feel about that, really. I'd almost like to see what this wine continues to do over the next day or so. because it is just like, it's throwing me off how it smells very Burgundian, but drinks very Californian. It's almost like just a little bit too big for what I would hope would be on the palate coming from the nose. So I'd really be curious to see, after, even honestly, after maybe an hour of this being open, I'd be curious to see if it mellows out a little bit and more of that earth characteristic comes forward, because it's really all fruit on the palate, and that kind of nice, weighty, rich, textural fruit. I think that this is a Pinot Noir for people who, and probably was made in this way specifically, this is a Pinot Noir for big, bold red wine drinkers who normally say, I don't like Pinot Noir, too light for me, give me a Cab, give me a Zin, give me Syrah, I don't want that Pinot. This is a Pinot Noir that I think would absolutely be appealing to those big red wine drinkers who don't normally go for the bottle of Pinot Noir, because it has this big kind of alcohol, big body, big rich textural fruit characteristic on the palate, while bringing some interesting, funky, kind of forest floor, earthy qualities on the nose. So that leads me to food pairing, which I honestly think that this is too powerful of a Pinot Noir to be on the Thanksgiving dinner table. So if you've been watching these videos, you know each video we have our benchmark Pinot Noir classic food pairings, Thanksgiving and duck. Thanksgiving, I don't know. I don't know that I would put this, it's 50 to 60 bucks a bottle, so again, I don't know what price range your family puts on the Thanksgiving dinner table, but for me, the actual meal comes a little later in the day once everybody's been drinking, so we usually drink the more expensive, more complex stuff up front, and then save more of the kind of fruity, light, simpler versions of Pinot Noir for the table. So I'm not getting a Thanksgiving vibe off of this wine, but I am getting, and honestly, I don't really even get the duck vibe on this wine either. Even though it's got that gamey quality, this is almost a little too big for duck for me, unless you're having and again, it might not be on the menu anymore, but at Bob's Steak and Chop House, they used to have this braised, this like long cooked, braised half of a duck that had this green peppercorn, like 72-hour green peppercorn sauce on it. Really, at the end of the day, it didn't taste like duck. It was more like a nice braised pork or beef, because it was just so rich. It would go with that style of duck, but really can't think of any other duck style that I could find with this. But what I would say this would pair well with is some grilled lamb. I think that this has enough earth quality to it to pair with an earthy meat, like a game meat, like lamb. But I like the idea of that char grilled lamb that has lots of, kind of maybe a really nice rub on it, really good spice character, really kind of rich, fatty, grilled lamb. I think that this wine would play perfectly with it, would stand up to that heartiness, while also bringing that power to kind of counter, or at least not counter, but to not, to kind of mesh, with that really powerful, flavorful lamb that you're getting. I think would be a fun food and wine pairing for this wine here. So I'll probably do a little TikTok, actually. I'll do a little TikTok maybe tomorrow on this wine once it's had a day or so to open up and see how it's kind of expressing at that point. So last one for Pinot Noir Wednesday. Say goodbye, y'all. We'll bring back some Pinot Noir for sure. And in fact, I've actually got a few California Pinot Noirs already picked out for this month, for California month. So say goodbye to Pinot Noir Wednesdays, but definitely continue to expect some Pinot Noir coming through on the site and on the Instagram. So thanks for watching here with me, guys. Mitchell Chirac. We'll see you later.